S-T-A-T-E. Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. Ooh. S-T-A-T-E. Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. But look what I'm rocking.
Oh, here we go.
Look what I'm rocking.
There we go.
Hey, now let me set this clear. First off, before we get started, we've been off since the spring game wrap up, the football spring game wrap up. We're back, baby. We're back. This is a different type of show. Our viewers know that. I've been getting comments. Where are you guys? Just to set the record straight on a couple of things. First of all, yeah, we've been off. Some of that was by design. Some of it wasn't. I've been dealing with a family issue. Unfortunately, I lost my dear brother, my only sibling, due to an accident. He passed away on May the 16th. And shout out to my bro. I know he's listening tonight from the heavens above. And I miss you, bro. And you'd want the show to go on, and that's what we're going to do. That's number one. KB already knows about that. And the second thing is high school graduation for my granddaughter. Where's she going? She picks the University of Georgia Bulldogs. Woo! So I shout out to Kayla. Kayla, congratulations, graduating and heading off to the University of Georgia. But besides that, I am going to wear this jersey tonight. You can see the Bulldog on there. I'm gonna drink from the mug.
There we go.
Just hydrating. But guess what? I'd never turn allegiance. There we go, baby. Right there. I'm staying with the Noles. I'll be looking at those Bulldogs, but I'm staying with the Noles. Well, that's what I've been doing. That's what's been going on. What's going on with you, KB?
Well, I during the same time period, I was starting a new job, so I was focusing on that as well. So yeah, a lot been going on since the spring game, the summer. So
wait a minute. You actually have a job where you pay your bills. This doesn't pay your bills?
Not yet.
It seems like some of the FSU other social media guys, some of them got woke up. Wow. Some of them in particular, maybe we got some time, we'll talk about that. They got woke up that ain't gonna pay the bills by just sending out tweets and being on Spaces. That don't pay mama's bills, right?
For some of them, maybe it does, but it does not do it for me yet. So
okay.
Maybe one day.
I don't think it does it for them either, my friend.
Well, sometimes it's a lot cheaper to live in Tallahassee than this in DC.
Yeah, but you still got to pay your bills. So.
Oh, true. All right. Well, we'll that kind of sets the record straight. Like we all know, we're less than, I think, 70 days away from kickoff in August. As we know, this is the earliest I think Florida State started in a while, where they have basically a week 0 game in August 27th, I believe. So the season's right around the corner. We're less than, like I said, 70 days away, or maybe less than that now. So we have a lot to go over though, since we've been off for the last month or so. So we can kind of dive right into it if you want to. Here, the first thing though, I know there's something you wanted to discuss here or look at. Why did you want me to share this?
I know this was like a last minute thing, dude. This wasn't on our program schedule. What we have here is a tweet that came out like, I don't know, yesterday or something. Day ago. What's the date on that thing?
It was the 15th, yesterday.
Okay. And what we have is Mr. Football Tim Tebow Gatorland down there in Gainesville, which is not far from me. And who's he walking around with? Eli Manning. Eli Manning puts out this tweet, and I had to ask myself, what the hell is Eli Manning doing there? Maybe he's there at, he got paid to come in to be at the Florida summer football camp or something like that. Or is he down there taking a look, for old Arch Manning? Arch Manning's the next real, what is he, a 5-star guy, quarterback? What is he? What is he?
He's like a 5-star top 10 player.
Well, he's not You tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if University of Florida offered him or not, but I saw something else that said that he's a verbal commit to UGA, baby, to the University of Georgia. That was a tweet online from somebody said he had, there were sources saying that he is verbally committed to the University of Georgia, and that was like yesterday. When that thread came out.
Maybe I don't. Not
verbal.
That I know.
It's a verbal. It's a verbal.
I don't think I don't see that reported anywhere else officially, so I don't think that is the case.
Okay, all right.
But
I didn't say it was confirmed, and I don't have any sources on that. But this was somebody reporting that said he had committed. But I'm wondering what the hell is Eli doing down at UF? His chances of playing are better at UF than they are at Georgia right now, I believe.
Well, yeah, I mean, Georgia currently has 4 on the roster. I don't think they have any currently committed either. So it could be, he's going to start wherever he wants to.
Why? Why do you say that? He's going to start wherever he wants to. What do you know about him? I don't know anything about that guy.
I'm tired of talking about him. I really don't want to talk about him now.
Why?
Because I don't care about him. I don't care about the kid that's not coming to Florida State. So I
know that. I know. But what I'm saying is these kids, this goes back to what I've said before on our other broadcast, is this thing about stars drives me crazy. And I'm doing a little bit more research. It's so subjective. It's like gymnastics in the Olympics, a 10 and a 5 and a 6, throw one out. It doesn't really mean a lot. He's carrying the Manning name. That gets you 3 stars right there, right?
Well,
so you're starting with 3 stars.
6'4", 215.
Okay, but who's he been playing against?
He's playing in New Orleans. He's playing in Louisiana. And he's been starting since he was his freshman year. So, I mean.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did FSU offer this guy at all?
No, I don't.
Okay, why? And why not then? Why wouldn't we go after?
Because you said they were never in contention.
Well, wait a minute. You said you wanted to discuss Florida State football, which we will, and some other issues, not just football.
He wasn't offered by Florida State. So.
Well, why not? Why the hell aren't we good enough? Aren't we good enough?
No.
So we're not good enough to enter that market, which tells us something. As you and I have discussed, we don't sugarcoat anything. I don't sugarcoat it, and I don't think you do either. There are programs on the air, social media programs coming out of Tallahassee and following FSU football that tend to sugarcoat stuff a lot, in my opinion. I don't need to bring out names. That's immaterial at this point. But what I'm saying is, so we have to admit, I said before, there's going to be tiers in Division I Power 5 football, and you're describing one of those tiers. We're not in a tier to offer this guy. Either is it because our program is not a winning program? Is it because our NIL is not organized enough? There's not enough money in the system? Why the hell aren't we good enough to do that?
I mean, I don't think Florida has. I don't think any of the Florida schools have massive NILs right now. That's the biggest swing. I mean, Florida just got added to his prospective list, in the last 2 days. That's why I think the pictures there and stuff like that. So I think there is some evaluation going on there in terms of could Arch look at Florida. But I think it's Florida has the new coach shine on them with Brian. LSU has the new coach shine because he's got added to that. He added them to his school of what he's looking at. So they have the new coach shine, and Florida has the new coach shine. So when the new coach comes in, there's a lot of optimism around the program. They also have the SEC name moniker around them too. And I think all those things bode well for a program like LSU in Florida that haven't been great in the last couple of years or elite in the last couple of years, but you have a new coach or in the SEC, all those things could together get people like Archie to look at you. And in your Florida State, I mean, you haven't been in a bowl game in years. You have a coach that could be on his last year or on the chopping block. There's a lot, instability there. And also you have to, at this point, I think Norvell knows he has to recruit guys he thinks he's in the mix for. And 2, he can't there's just some guys that are going to be out of your reach and it's not worth wasting your time on. And so I think there was a calculated decision to say, we're probably never going to be in this battle and it's not worth trying to battle it out with the top 3 programs in the nation right now when we already have, and they already had the guys they already liked for the position. So I think it's a smart move. Don't waste your time. Don't try to pull together money for a kid you're probably not going to get, and he's probably not even interested in you because all his brothers went to, the Mannings are SEC guys. I don't think he would go play for anyone in the ACC, honestly. So
I like your logic. I think everything you say, I'm in agreement with. The only thing I would say, and I kind of started it by saying it, is money. I don't think money's an issue here at all. I mean, he's coming from the Manning family. I think playing is the development, and playing is the issue itself. Wouldn't that be for you if you were the
If he's
Manning?
good enough, he'll play anywhere. Like, I don't think this guy, honestly, most true freshmen, there's very, and I've got to look at
You think he'll start?
No, most true freshmen don't start. So
No.
I don't think playing time's an issue. If he's good enough after his true freshman year, after he redshirts, and he's good enough to push, he'll start anywhere he wants, because most programs don't care who you are. They'll put the next guy who's the best guy in. They don't care what your name is. Look at things that happened to Oklahoma last year. Caleb Williams was great one year. Then they found another guy and they threw him in, and the people transferred.
Well, that's why that's the only thing. That's the only thing I say is if you look at our quarterback room, he would have an excellent opportunity of not starting in 2022, but he would have an excellent opportunity in 2023. But he's not coming here. I'm not stupid about this. I agree with you. He's going to end up in the SEC someplace. And I do believe that visit and the Tebow picture there is an indication that Florida may have a shot at him because they're unsettled at quarterback there.
Yeah, there's that, and the state, the SEC, So I think he's looking at them. I doubt he ends up there unless they really go on the tear this season and can really show that they have stability in that program, and that new coach has it together. So they could be in the mix, but I don't think any ACC school, like Archie already said, he's not going to Clemson. So I don't think any ACC school's ever been in the mix.
I don't. I agree with you. So this is our Summer Slam, man. This is our June Summer Slam to kind of bring together the news since the spring football game where we've been off the air. And, it's kind of a grab all here, and that's why I call it the Summer Slam. There's a lot of different little issues out here. I don't think anything ground shaking has happened since we were last on the air. Okay. I think the biggest thing that has happened, and that has happened in baseball, and that was the firing of Mike, of Mike Martin Jr. and the transfer, or he went into the portal. Obviously, he's waiting for his dad to get a job. His son, an FSU player, baseball player, and so I think it warrants us to talk a couple of minutes about what happened here and what is it saying. What is the AD, the athletic director? What is he saying about other coaches and the standards and the expectations? And it had to rattle Coach Norvell a little bit, because Coach Martin's been there about 2 full seasons, 3 seasons, if you want to call COVID a season. He had a winning record. I don't even need to throw out what the number is. But this season was so inconsistent. They were, they'd win some games, then they'd lose a bunch of games. Their pitching was inconsistent. Their hitting was inconsistent as hell. They hit a lot of home runs. They struck out a lot, And then they didn't win the ACC championship. They didn't win the ACC tournament. They did squeak into the College World Series playoffs. Okay.
And that was based on their strength of schedule. Like they did have one of the top strength schedules in the.
Exactly, you're right. They did get in, but they got eliminated, and they got eliminated kind of ugly. They beat UCLA, and then they got blown up by Auburn, like 20-7.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, I mean, that was horrible. Yeah. Maybe they were saving their pitching staff for the next game, which was against UCLA, and they got eliminated again. Yeah. 2-1. So they didn't have any bats. So given this, I don't like sons of coaches following their father's footsteps, or the hiring of sons and daughters to your staff. I think that is never a good thing. We saw that during Bobby Bowden's final years and how that played out. It didn't play out well for the program. So the AD makes a decision, you're out, and we're going to look for a new coach. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I think, he had been on staff before, so I think it was a mixture of, well, and you got to talk about too, Mike Martin before that, he's regarded as a great coach, but he couldn't quite get over the hump either.
No.
And then you kind of pass it off to his, your son, who was on staff, who couldn't, you guys couldn't get it done together. So it was more of like, let's keep it going because they had great recruiting classes and let's keep the band together. Right. But at the same time, I just thought they were afraid to rip the Band-Aid off and say, well, let's go in a different direction with the whole program. Because if you don't retain the son, like we're going to be ripples. And now we're seeing those ripples now 2 years delayed, 3 years delayed, because you didn't get rid of the son at the time. So I get why they stuck with him in the beginning, but at the same time, Mike Martin Sr. didn't really have towards, that culmination of the success with the World Series, with the championship. So I think this was going to come. I'm glad Alford is making the tough decisions to say, well, this isn't acceptable. Like, we need to win. We're throwing money into these programs. And now with NIL, players can, and the port and stuff like that, players have more of a choices where they can go. And, with all the talent that was on that team, you have to be better than 11-13 against the top 25. Like, it's not acceptable. In the last 2 years, the baseball team has not shown that they can compete with the top 25. And like I said, they have a tough schedule, both non and in conference. So I get it, but they did not perform the way you expect a team that talented to perform. And I think it was sudden, but they had to cut ties and go in a different direction so that they can, if you had another down year again, I think you would see a decay, just kind of like with what happened in football. Like with the Jimbo Fisher after the national championship, you started to see the culture change and locker room, and you weren't recruiting the way you normally did, and it just all falls off the rails. So I think this is a proactive decision to try to right the ship, and you're going to lose some guys, but I think now they're still in a position where they can get a great coach to come in, maybe from another top 10 program, to come in who's excited about the history of Florida State and being the ACC and a great baseball conference, and bring him in, and he can right the ship pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think there was some rumors floating around that they were looking heavily at 2 coaches. One of them is the coach at Notre Dame. All right. The coach at Notre Dame, who I believe has, didn't he have play at Florida State? Maybe I should know that, but I don't know that. But he has some links to Florida State. And then there's the coach at Tennessee. All right. There's the coach at Tennessee, both well-renowned coaches. The Notre Dame guy just eliminated Tennessee, knocked them out.
I think the Tennessee one was kind of a joke because of how much his contract's huge, and I think they kind of locked him up.
I don't know if this was a joke.
I think the Notre Dame one is probably the most realistic one because
did he play at Florida State or not?
Yeah, and he was roommates with Mike Martin Jr. too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So, he's well-renowned. He's having a great season. He hasn't been at Notre Dame that long, right? A couple years?
No, but with all these things, though, Link Jarrett's his name. And
Link Jarrett. Yeah, Link Jarrett was a good player at Florida State.
But his contract, like you said, is fairly new. His contract runs through 2026. So it's how much money are you willing to spend on a up-and-coming coach who just did really well in his second season at Notre Dame? He was ACC Coach of the Year,
right,
in 21. You're gonna have to buy him out essentially, and then give him a massive deal. So it's once again, is Alford willing to put money? Because I'm thinking this guy would be willing, jump at the chance to come back to Florida State and build a program. But I think he's the number one target. Honestly, it's just more about financials and what that looks like, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the issues. Is whether or not, what does Florida State have in the war chest, so to speak, as we say, because that leads us into, and first of all, a shout out to Parker Misick, the pitcher. He was second team All-American this year. The guy was stellar from the mound. I mean, this guy really poured on. So shout out to him. And Jamie Ferrara, he really stood out at the bat, and he's a freshman All-American team. So there's a couple of guys. I hope, there's a couple of guys that really contributed well. There were a lot of guys who contributed, but it just didn't do well. And that leads into when we talk about war chest in the future of the baseball program. And I think we're going to hear something very soon. I think in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have a selection, or they're going to wait. Is the World Series over? I don't even know if the damn thing's over, because I've been on the road for like 3 weeks.
It wraps up the 27th.
Okay, I think we're going to wait till that's over, or at least all that thing's done, and then something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think Florida State wants to get somebody in quick to stabilize players they really want to keep in the program, and then go to the portal or start recruiting, right? So I think that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. But it leads me to the thought about the war chest, and that's NIL. What the hell? I haven't heard anything about Florida State's NIL programs. Now, if Florida State is trying to keep everything down low, off the radar, super secret with Rising Spear and the two other ones that are out there, well, they're doing one hell of a good job, KB. They're doing a hell of a good job, because I don't hear anything. I don't hear that the NIL has played into any deals anywhere in the portal or recruiters, anything.
Well, I don't think they're going to be publicized like that, honestly. I think it's still going to be very much.
Other programs are. Other programs seem to be.
The Miami guy who's now being investigated by the NCAA. So I think it's not smart to do those things. And that guy's an idiot, as most people think.
I don't know if he's an idiot.
It brings unwanted attention to the university.
Okay, but other universities are doing it.
Who? What? Okay, name the schools and the players.
I don't have a specific.
See, exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, he just signed.
Deals are being done, but they're not going to be publicized as much as you think. And once again, it's not like Florida State's a top 10 program that's giving out $2 million deals. So they may be playing at some degree, but they're not going to be these massive deals. So they're in an element. But once again,
is that something as Seminole fans that we should know or want to know? What is going on? How much money do we have in the war chest? I'm sure they don't want to push that out, because there's no legal transparency here with NIL programs. There's no Florida sunshine law that you can do a Freedom of Information Act on to get this information. So we don't know if there's $10 in there or there's $10 million in there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's whatever Warpath or whatever the hell it's called is a private organization. Yeah, they don't have to say anything about their revenue or how much donations they have coming in. I don't know if they're registered as a nonprofit or whatever they are, but so they may have to do some type of filing. But
I had to walk away and put my lights on. It's getting dark here, dude.
But yeah, and just going back to the point of the coaching search, Notre Dame is still in the tournament, so they're not going to, obviously, Florida State's going to have minimal contact, if anything, until Notre Dame gets eliminated at some point, or if they win the whole damn thing. If they win the whole thing, I don't think they get him, because he's going to get a massive. If they're going to be able to extend him, Notre Dame is, and Notre Dame has money, so they'll be able to make that guy's contract to stay worthwhile. So Florida State's best hope of getting him is if they get knocked out sooner rather than later and don't reach that. They're still a big underdog to win this thing, so hopefully they get knocked out. But that guy's price tag is being massive. And Florida State isn't known. They have decent facilities, but they don't have elite baseball facilities like some of the schools do.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I.
It's the facts. They just don't. They don't have, whether it's football.
I was there recently to watch a game.
But you're seeing the baseball field. I'm talking about the training facilities. I'm talking about those types of things. The things, the flashy things that kids care about.
I know, but God, I mean, it's like
you're older. That's
not true. That's not what I care about. But how much, and I've talked about this before, and I know you don't totally agree with it, is how much ice cream and cake do we have to give this? Do they need a lazy river that they can tube down when they're not practicing? Is that where we're going now, to bring kids in? Because this plays into what I talk about, is the tier system, that we're going to be functioning on different tiers in different sports in Division One.
They already are. I don't know why you're just figuring that out. They already are.
I'm not figuring it out. I'm trying to make a statement about it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as NIL was introduced, that the tier started. So, I mean, yeah, in Florida State.
But you remember when I said that on a previous edition?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I've always thought that it's definitely a tier system.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think in a couple of weeks they've got to make their decision. They're obviously in contact with his agent. They could be in contact with his agent.
Yeah.
And so on to put out. They have to, because we got to get somebody in. Okay. Yeah. Enough on that. Let's go to a happier subject, and that is FSU softball. The ladies had a good season. They didn't get as far into the tournament, the World Series, the tournament there that they wanted to in Omaha. No, I'm sorry, not Omaha. Where the hell do they play?
I don't know. I don't keep up.
I forget where they play. But listen, in order to defeat the University of Oklahoma, who won the whole thing, unbelievable. That University of Oklahoma team is an awesome machine. But shout out to the FSU ladies, who had a great season. I saw a couple of their games. And we extended our coach, Lonnie Alameda. She's a great coach. She's a nationally recognized coach that could go almost anywhere. She has gotten a long-term extension. What, you seem to be grimacing on that.
Just keep going.
Okay. That she got a long-term extension, which I fully approve of that. And she has a proven track record. Now, the Noles got eliminated by Mississippi State 4-3. They were in a lot of close games this year. And the pitching is the name of the game. I think if they can restock on a couple of good pitchers, you've got to have that pitching staff in softball. If you don't have that, you're going to run into trouble. And I think they're going to do that. I think she's an excellent recruiter. I look for good things out of continued good things out of FSU softball moving forward. Plus, they're doing some really good improvements to the facility there, mainly the field. I have no idea what the hell their locker room or their little fun and games or their eating room. I have no clue about that. But they're redoing their softball fields. I saw pictures of that, and congratulations to them on a great season.
Yeah, I don't think we need to focus too much on this. She's a great coach. She's won the national championship. She's brought the team in, the tournament every season since she's been there. That's a coach you want to keep because she has success and she's won the big things, the big tournament. She knows how to get it done. So as opposed to, I think, Mike Martin and that family, they were good, but they could never get over the hump. And I think that's why you kind of.
Well, I agree. And let's face it, I didn't say, and I think you just did say, she's won a couple of national championships.
She's won one. Yeah.
No, two. I think there's two. Check it.
I think it was just 2018.
No, 2021 as well. Yeah. And was that a runner-up?
That was a runner-up.
Okay, it was runner-up. Okay. She's always there. She's always there. She's in those final games, and congratulations to her staff, and all the players. And I don't think the ladies get enough credit. Okay. And I say that because I got 4 granddaughters, and the ladies' sports should get more credit. And
I think the last thing, just to move on that, it's funny how, great program. I think that you could make the comparisons now, like what went wrong between soccer, great program, sustained success, coach, but both got offered substantial raises. With softball, substantial raise, move to upgrade the softball's facilities. That coach signs the extension, is happy to move forward. Soccer, women's soccer, offered that raise, become basically the highest paid coach in the sport in college, maybe of all of women's soccer. In the U.S., and to also upgrade facilities, and that coach resigns. Like, what what went wrong in that scenario. Maybe it was just a clashing of personalities, but one's happy with the AD. Something went wrong in those things. You know what? That's something I think will someday come out. What went wrong there? But two very similar scenarios. One got signed, one did not. Both of the AD was willing to invest in them both greatly, which is great to see. But it's just interesting to see one walked away with everything offered to him, and then one stayed. So one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a big question surrounding what happened there. I'd love to know the answer to that. Anybody out there has an answer to that? Whether you're a viewer or you're an insider, you want to come on the program and discuss it. All you have to do is get a hold of us, and we'll be glad to give you time on the program. The next, I think the next thing, obviously, to talk about, everybody's always focused on is football, right?
Yep.
Is football, and what stands out for you so far this summer?
I think. I think we talked about it. I can't remember if we talked about the time. But you get the kid in from Charlotte, the offensive lineman. We may have touched on it before we came off, but I know that was the most recent transfer we got in, which I think is great because at minimum, it provides much needed depth in that room, allows some of those younger guys to not have to come in right away and provide backup placement. But also, I think he's a guy, Atkins coached him, familiar with him, can train him up, and I think can potentially compete for a spot on the line. So I think that's great. And then I think the other thing was just a recent addition. You get the kid to commit to you. He reclassified, had a couple of decent offers. I think one from Florida on the defensive line. He's probably not going to play this season, but he's coming in basically early, and he'll be able to train up this year, be a practice player essentially. And then he's a big body guy, and I think he came in as a 3-star, had some good offers. Academics, I think, were an issue.
Is he a high school recruit, or is he
high school recruit? Yeah. So, but they'll be great. So basically, he's kind of coming early. So, since he was classified, he's probably not going to be able to play talent wise because we're pretty deep on D line. But it'll be great for him in 23. He'll be prepped and they're excited about him. And then the last thing I think for me was, I just forgot about what it was, but those are the two big things for me. We had some transfers here and there.
I don't think we lost anybody in the portal of any great significance.
No,
would you agree?
No, I would agree with that. I don't think, he lost DJ, but DJ Williams is never going to probably crack. I would have liked to see what he could have done, because I think our running back room is pretty deep right now. So
did he get picked up? Did he get picked up yet?
Yeah, he just signed with Arizona.
Oh, he did. Okay, I didn't see. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it was just today he signed with Arizona, so that's good for him.
Good for him. I wish him well. I think he worked hard. I think he was a good kid, and he's had some injuries. He's been rehabbing. He stayed with the grind, and I hope he has a great year. Not against us if we ever play him, but I hope he has a great year. Let me ask you this. Here's my concern, and I was going to do it, and then I had some technical difficulty with one of my software things here. I never got to it. How many guys are in the O-line room now? I think they're going to have to knock down a damn wall to expand that into another room. We must have 20 guys now, and they're still talking about looking for another guy they can bring in as a potential 6-man or a starter. You know what I mean? How many guys? Is it 20?
No, it's probably
you're not going to count them all, but I bet you it's 18. How many offensive linemen? Does that mean we've missed on 10 of those guys and we're just carrying them, or their long-term development? It's crazy.
Well, just think about the class they just signed of O-linemen. I think they had 6 or 7. So you just brought in. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. That long, you have
really. Well, what does that say about the guys in the room? You've got 18 guys, and you're still bringing in more guys.
I don't think it's uncommon to have 15 to 20 linemen on a team. Those guys get hurt more than any other.
I know.
Also, the development time on those guys I think O line, they say, is one of the toughest positions to recruit because
it is. It's not. It's hard to recruit, but it's harder to evaluate them.
Yeah, you see very few 5-star linemen because they just are impossible. Like I heard very hard to recruit, like evaluate those guys, like you said, at camps and stuff like that. So it is. I think they've taken the approach of let's sign more guys that we like, whether it's through high school or some through the transfer portal, which is good. So you have a mixture of both of guys from the portal who can make an immediate impact and allow that signing class, that those 6 guys like Armella, some of those higher rated guys that you're able to sign, the best class they've had in O-line in a while, allow them to develop. Don't have to throw them into game one and kill their confidence if they get beat. I think that's been the biggest thing that we've, over the past few years before Atkins came in, is that we would try to be signing guys, these freshmen, and they're 3 stars and stuff like that. And they would be thrown into the fire right away. And they get beat and they just kill their confidence. They'd be trashed on Twitter. They'd be killed on the field. And they could never build up that confidence and have time to develop like an O-lineman should. And I think now they're with the addition of the portal, it's helped them build it the right way. And now they can start developing this talent through the strength and conditioning program, practice, allowing them to sit the amount of time that each of those players needs. And I like having a deep room. I'd rather have a deep O-line room than a lot of other positions, but
you make good arguments. I don't think we had any O-line guys go into the portal, did we?
I mean, if I was O-line, well, I don't think many of them probably. I don't think many of them probably could get much.
No, I think we had 1 or 2, and I can't even remember what the hell their names were. One guy didn't even get picked up.
Yeah, like I said.
Oh, the Pope. Remember the Pope?
Oh, yeah, Pope's gone. Yeah, he left like mid-season, I think.
Yeah, he met.
But like, I think that's the thing. Like, most of those guys aren't going to be starting caliber on top 25 teams. No. But that's the thing too, is that you also are going to be able to compete every day for playing time. And so if I wouldn't see a reason why those guys would leave, other than probably having to take a step down from having to play in either FCS or school like Florida Atlantic in competing for a job like that. So I don't see. I think, like you said, we lost Jalen Goss, who's now at FAMU, and he was not gonna. And then Dante Lucas, who's at South Alabama. So.
Some of these guys come in. This is what gets me a little bit. Is they come in high and mighty out of high school, and of course they're knocking high school guys down. They weigh 280, 300 pounds, and they're beating up on some little guys on crap teams, and they get the big heads, and they're getting a few stars, and the next thing we're recruiting them because we ain't got no choice, but then they come in and they get the reality that when they're playing against seasoned guys or other teams, they just get the hell beat out of them.
And Florida State couldn't in the past. They couldn't be very choosy. They had to kind of pick like their evaluation chart. Like they had to get bodies in essentially, 3 or 4 years
ago. But let me say this, just because you're big, even massive, doesn't mean you can play.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Period. Yeah. And the offensive line, and there may be people out there who won't like me to say this, but the offensive linemen are generally, when they start out as in kids football and high school football, they are generally not the most talented guys on the field. They are usually the least talented guys on the field. They're generally bigger kids who don't move fast enough, and they're placed over on the offensive line because they won't put them on the defensive line.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I'm saying on average. Yeah. On average. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? Unless there's an NFL father out there whose legacy son, he was an offensive lineman. He says, my kid is going to play offensive left tackle, and he trains the kid up. That is rare. But on average, these kids are not the most talented. That you don't have to agree with that. I'll take responsibility for that statement. But it's true. And that's why they're the hardest to evaluate.
Yeah.
Period.
There's a lot more of them. Yeah. There's a lot more people playing line and bigger guys. Yeah. Like you said, it's tough.
Right.
But yeah, we don't have to focus on it. But like we know, we lost, I think 3 or 4 transferred out. We brought in 2 more from the, I think already 3 from the portal, which is great.
I think we upgraded. The room, like you said, for what we lost and what we brought in, right?
They're looking to add 1 more, potentially, the kid from South Carolina, who I think they just had on campus, and I think he's put I think he just put Florida State in his top 2 of choices. I think it's between us and I think Michigan State.
It's about where can I play.
It's Florida State and Michigan State. So that's good company. If Michigan State's reviewing this kid, they must see something. I think the only negatives they had against him in reviewing tape was sometimes he wasn't consistent. There were some attitude maybe issues or conditioning issues, but I think once they had him on campus, from what I was reading on Twitter, that he looked in shape. And he got that offer. So if you get him, I'm going to feel very comfortable about you're going to have options about who can play on the offensive line, and an injury or 2 is not going to definitely kill you. And they have from, all these different sites are doing what's the scholarship calculation, because you never know. Everyone's trying to keep the math themselves because Florida State's not telling you how many scholarships they have left. But it's looking like Florida State has 2 scholarship offers left to give out. So if you give it to this kid, and then they also brought in a transfer from Oregon who was visiting, he's a defensive back, who was a 4-star out of high school. If they get then you're locked up. Then you would have your 2 offers off the board. You improve your depth on the defensive back end with Brownlee leaving, so you get another guy in, and you get an offensive lineman, and then you're set for going to the fall.
Yeah, I think you at this point, with few scholarships left, you got to make sure the guy's coming in is a potential. He doesn't have to be a starter, but he has to be like that 6th guy off the bench, the 7th guy off the bench. You know what I mean? Like in basketball, you have the 6th man. You've got to have a guy that can step up and play a role. If not, why are you bringing a guy in? You got to have good reason. And I think Coach Atkins has done a great job recruiting, doing the best he can, and getting people developed. Some guys just aren't going to develop because they don't have the skill level. They've already maxed out in high school in these programs, and it's difficult for them to really have an impact at Division I Power 5. Now, in that aspect of what we were just talking about in the portal, FSU is still ranked number 5, what I just saw, number 5 ranking, whatever the hell that means, in college transfer portal for bringing people in. They're the number 5 team in the country. Number 1 is LSU with Coach Brian Kelly, who we're going to see early in the season, and USC with Lincoln Riley. What do you think of that?
I mean, I think they're doing as best they can. I think they whiffed on 1 or 2 guys in the portal, but I think this is the fastest way to get Florida State back on track.
Oh, I agree. Well, I agree with that. Yeah.
Norvell's doing the best he can without much production to show from it. I mean, you're a team that won 5 games, and you're still able to pull some of these things off. So imagine I think that's the biggest thing. If this team can find a way to win 7 or 8 games in a bowl win, I just feel like they can unlock the next level of recruiting, because they've been especially Atkins has been able to pull off so many of these deals across the board. And if they can just find a way to show okay, we've got 3 wins, then 5 wins, and now we're actually have something here at 7 or 8 wins, I think then that pitch becomes a lot more substantial. And then there's the money and things around that. But I think if you can show that growth, you unlock the portal will be nuts the next year, and then actual high school recruiting will be nuts. So I think they've done a great job in the portal. They had to do it. If they weren't successful in the portal, I think you're looking at 3-4 win season again. But they've done as well as I think they could have so far.
I agree with you. Brian Kelly at LSU knows the pressure's on there. He's trying to rebuild and reload quickly through the portal. He's brought in a ton of guys there, which scares the hell out of me. Where we thought LSU may be having a down time, if these guys gel together, and there's some significant names in there, guys who have been very productive. Okay, guys are going to get significant playing time. And then USC's under pressure with Lincoln Riley to produce right out of the box too. So FSU given a number 5 slot, that puts more pressure on Coach Norvell, to say, hey, you got the guys now. And I think 7 wins 8 would be beautiful. 7 wins gets Coach Norvell another year and does unlock some other tools that could come our way. He's got to have 7 wins. 6 they may accept, but 7 wins and a bowl game, then a bowl game we can move forward. We have to show progress because I think, as we said before, the new AD has already fired the shot that says we expect greatness. Yeah. That's what the expectation is. And if you can't be there, and I think Coach Norvell's worked his ass off. I think the staff has worked their ass off now in a very competitive recruiting with all these other things going on with NIL. I think it's got to be a nightmare. But one thing we haven't mentioned, and I don't want to dwell on it tonight, is what keeps me up at night. I put it on a tweet on our name there some time ago. What does it keep you up at night to think our quarterback room, if Jordan Travis goes down, what the hell happens to this team? We don't even need to discuss it tonight. But if you got a comment, I'm willing. It keeps me up at night.
I'm not the coach. I mean, it's his job to evaluate those scenarios, and if he feels confident that they don't need anything else, then no.
It doesn't bother you at all, then.
No, I'm not the coach. So if he
feels
I'm not
the coach either, but it doesn't bother me.
No, because I can just stop watching. So if he feels confident,
I don't stop watching though.
Yeah, well, I'm not. If he's not investing in the area, if he feels confident in the backups, then great. But if it goes off the rails and players are quitting, I'm not going to waste my time. But if he feels confident in what he has in that locker room, and Travis is going to stay healthy because he's gained a bunch of weight this offseason, which he has, which is great.
Yeah, but
then I have to trust the process there. They could have signed some backup. I'm sure they could have, but it doesn't seem like they want to go in that direction.
Well, I agree. Don't just sign somebody, but man, it just makes me nervous. Makes me a little nervous going in, bro.
Well, it's his job. So,
I agree.
That's going to be, if he gets hurt, then Mike's probably out of the job next season. So.
And he's getting a ton of money to figure it out. I saw his house when he had a bunch of players over there, and he's got a big swimming pool. He's got the whole thing, man. So you're right. But I think 7 wins gets Coach Mike another year in Tallahassee. If he falters with that, I think there's going to be problems in that regard. Now, one of the things that came out in the Tallahassee.com, Tallahassee Democrat, let me get his name, Tallahassee.com, an article written by Kurt Whaler. You know, he's an FSU social media guy who works for, I don't know if he works for the newspaper or what, I don't know. Coach Norvell, he quotes, Norvell is saying, hey, people have been tampering with my players who are not in the portal. Okay. That's not the quote, but that's what Norvell was insinuating, that schools or agents have reached out to players who are contemplating moving into the portal, or if deals are set, and he's upset with that. Have you heard that? And what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I remember this was said. I think during maybe the spring meetings, but yeah.
No, this is like 10 May. This is pretty recent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, during the spring meetings.
Yeah.
I think all these schools, I think USC probably did it with
the
Pittsburgh receiver, and there's gonna be some element. It's all under the table. People are talking to people under the table. Now, I don't think people are dumb enough to have the head coach call a player up and be like, "Hey, you coming?" I don't think it's that. I just probably an assistant or an intern they have saying social media, tweet somebody, direct message somebody and say, "Hey, are you looking to come out? You'll have a spot," something like that. Something's going on. There is tampering going on, probably all across the board. But you can't, unless someone's going to get busted for it one day. That's the only way this is going to come out, and that school will get in trouble. But people around will continue to do it. This happened before NIL. People used to tamper with recruiting and stuff like that, and go behind closed doors. So yeah, I'm sure it happens. But if players are happy, then they'll stay. I mean, that's just. Yeah, I don't want to dive too into it because I'm sure it happens with every school.
Honestly. Maybe Norvell was putting that out there too. He didn't put it in the strongest words, he kind of put it out there, I think, to put a shot out there to let people know we're kind of watching this.
Yeah.
And if we get any hard evidence, we're going to report it to the NCAA, which is now kind of investigating some NIL stuff at Miami. Now the NCAA has to be very careful too, because if they start doing investigations that lead to nothing happening, if they enter into too many of those things, you know what I mean? That their credibility is going to go downhill too.
I mean, I don't think they have much credibility. So
well, that's what I'm saying. They're going to lose what they have to say. Hey, we're investigating Miami. They're going to, at some point, they are a more public, transparent place, and that's going to have to come out. You know what I mean? Of what they're doing, how they're handling these things, and what results are they getting, right? Yeah. So those are to me, these are the biggest elements this summer so far. Now, the only other thing I had is every other day I'm seeing a new offer. Florida State has made a verbal or an offer, verbal offer to this recruit or that recruit. I sent a comment. I sent a note out to the university, and I haven't heard anything back, which is not too surprising to me, of how many offers in any recruiting cycle are actually made. I'm just curious about it.
They can offer as many kids they want.
Well, that's what I mean. So they could offer anybody they want, and then if a kid comes back and says, I want the official paperwork during signing period, they can say, well, we've gone in a different direction.
There's hard and soft offers. So they can say, well, this is a committable offer, or this is kind of like, wait and see kind of offer.
But there's no ceiling really on verbal offers to players out there.
As far as I know, no, because it's a verbal offer. It's not kind of said or done. But yeah, because there's been kind of aspects or times when a kid thought the offer that was extended to him was a committable offer, and he posted on Facebook or Twitter and says, "Oh, I'm committing to Florida State or X school," and people are like, "This kid's not even rated, or he's a 2-star, or whatever." And there's sometimes confusion. The kids get confused about what they're being offered and can they commit yet. So, I think those verbal offers come out. But at the same time, you don't want to offer 1,000 kids because that makes the kid feel like, well, you're
they just flood the market. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So
right.
I think the difference with Florida State this year is that I think they're trying not to get flat-footed in certain positions. They just offered 2 more quarterbacks recently. They had Parsons committed for a while now.
Yeah.
But basically what they've told him is that, hey, this is what we're going to do. We don't want to get flat-footed again in terms of, another situation where we have quarterback kind of drop us at the last minute and we're going to scramble like we need
like Sam Howell, right?
Yeah.
Sam Howell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we need at least 2 quarterbacks coming in. You're still our guy, but we need to have a backup come in with you, or we need, in case you find another offer or something like that, but go and do your thing, go visit their schools, go do the process. So they're on a good wavelength there. And I think they tell it to other players.
I think that's smart. Yeah, I think that's smart because we got burned by Sam Howell. We got burned by that kid went to Georgia Tech. Who's that kid?
Sims,
the starter
Jeff Sims.
Yeah, it's Sims. Sims was the guy beating the drum. I remember looking, oh, yeah, you got to come to Florida State. I'm going to Florida State. I need you in the class, because the quarterback kind of takes on that role for each class. Yeah. He's the leader to bring guys in. And then at the last minute, these guys are bailing. I have to tell you, I don't spend a lot of time looking at the social media from all the other Florida State reporters out there. Hey, we got this guy in. He's in camp. I know that's filler stuff for their channels. I get that. But I'm not going to spend all my time on that because it means nothing. It means nothing when you just, oh, look at this guy. He's one of the guys on the target list. That's stuffing.
No.
It doesn't mean anything.
No.
And we've been burned 2 or 3 times now on cases.
Yeah.
I don't even know what is the guy's name that went
I
to
don't care. I don't
Dion.
know. Yeah,
Well, I don't even know who he is. Mims. That
No, it's not.
all these people on this thing. I don't get excited to some guys locked in. Then we're going to start discussing it. But do you understand my point?
I get your point. But I think the other aspect of extended offers is that they're setting themselves up because I think they believe they will be better this year. And so by extending more offers too, is that if they start to snowball and win 7, maybe 8 games, that they have a lot more reach with maybe higher 4-star rated guys and maybe a couple of 5-star where they can say, hey, we exceed our expectations. Are we still in the mix with you? So I think they're having more confidence in what they're building. And if they go off and they highly perform, then Florida State's in better positions with guys that they maybe a season or 2 ago couldn't even go and look at. So I think it's that confidence in the roster they've built and the culture they've built that, okay, we're willing to extend those offers because we can play ball if we play the right way. And then I think the other thing is that with the transfer portal, that you may lose a recruiting battle, but that player may come back around to you in a couple of years. So making sure that there's certain guys that hey, we may not be able to beat Georgia or somebody out for them, but knowing that if we really, really like this kid, that if we at least stay in contact with him, offer him and say, hey, remember when we offered you and we made your top 5, 2 years from now, he may not be starting at Georgia, but he may want to come around like Jermaine did. And come back to you at some point if you're still the coaching staff there or if you're coaching in some other place. So I think that plays into it as well.
I have to give the staff, Coach Norvell and his staff, an A+. I think they're doing a hell of a good job communicating the marketing piece, what they're doing. And that, that takes a hell of a lot of work and a lot of hours of doing this, the phone calls, the visits, the going out and meeting face to face, the families. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I think they're doing a great job with that, and I think they get big points for that. And I want to say they get big points for that, but like you said, it's got to translate into performance. The only thing that counts is performance, and that performance is on the field, and sometimes it's razor thin performance. A field goal, a caught pass, a dropped pass, an interception, a fumble. It can make all the difference in a game.
Yeah.
The bottom line is this team in football, like all of our athletics teams, are going to have to play to an exceptional level. That's the expectation. And we have to see a climb. That's what the phrase they use. Keep the climb going. The climb. Well, then we have to see a climb in performance. The question is, could you end up 6-6 or 5-6, be in every game, lose by 1 touchdown or 3 points, and is that good enough?
Yeah.
It's probably not. It's probably not.
Yeah. The only way 6 wins is accomplishment if you have marquee wins on the schedule. If you beat Clemson and maybe Florida, Miami, and somehow crack the bed on.
Well, you gotta beat either Florida or Miami. If you lose to both of them this year, your chances of retaining, even if you win 7 games, which I don't think you have to beat one of them to get to 7 games. Okay. Well, we're not even going to look at the schedule yet, but you have to beat them. You can't lose to both of them.
No, you
the
can't.
Fan base will not accept that.
Well, the only way you could lose to both of them and still have a happy fan base if somehow you beat Clemson. But that if you lose to Miami and Florida, that means you're tanking the back half of you're losing basically all of November. So
and you're losing the state. And you're losing the state.
Yeah, so that's not going to finish well.
All right, good. The last thing I have, this is it, and then we're done. And this should take about a minute. And I'm going to question you on it there, Mr. KB. And that is, okay, the king is gone. You're going, well, what the hell is he? The king is gone. Josh Newberg has moved on. He is gone. But he's still on there. The cocaine is still there, man. He's still in the mix, man. I see him on the mix. Who takes the king's place?
I don't care. I mean, there's there's thousands of these sites, and everyone's got their own sources, and so I don't care.
And I didn't really see Josh as the king. I think it was self-appointed king in a way, but and no disrespect to Sean. I think, I don't know what he's going to do in the future, but I think he might have woke up and said, I can't, this is not going to get it done. But he kind of self-appointed Brendan Sonnen as the guy, and that's what everybody's talking about. Who's the next guy up? That's the name they're all mentioning, Brendan. So we'll see. I don't care. You don't care.
As long as they're reporting the right way and not announcing commitments before they actually happen. That's what I care about. So.
Yeah, and well, everybody, in the news business, you're all trying to break news. We don't.
I think 24/7, whoever they have there does a good job. So they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. That's all I got, KB.
Yeah, that's it for me.
I think that's the big news this summer. Sure, there's some other stuff hopping around out there. I think we'll probably do another SummerSlam 2 before August, maybe.
We need to do some opponent breakdowns. I mean, we only have, like I said, a couple of months, 2 months to be exact, and we have 12 opponents to go over. So we'll probably do some opponent breakdowns.
Well, let me tell you this. If the players are working out, which they should be, if they're outside, 95 degrees here today in Central Florida. 95 in sun, brother.
Yep, it's hot everywhere, it seems like. So
it's a hot one. So I hope those who is it, Duquesne, #1 opponent. I hope they're working out in the heat. Yeah. All right. Look forward to it. Seminole fans. Look, I haven't changed allegiance. I had the shirt on for the granddaughter, but there's my allegiance right there. That will never, ever, ever change. Go Noles.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Take it easy.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.